Hi, I'm Maya. I'm a freelance artist. I've worked in video games, animation, and illustration, and I'm gonna show you how to design a creature. So I don't know if you were anything like me when I was a kid, but I was like always drawing dragons. You're like the dragon kid. So designing creatures is like fun and playful, and I think in the nature of design that's just like a good thing to remember, that like don't like die while you're doing this. Like you can also like play with it, do something silly. It doesn't have to be like super serious, like xenomorph, you know. We can also make something like Scooby-Doo, you know, monster vibe. Asking questions is a really good place to start, and I think the first questions you can ask yourself, you know, like, it's really easy. Like, what do you want this creature to be for? Like, maybe you have something really specific. Maybe you're a DM and you're like designing a creature for the next battle for your campaign. Maybe you're making a comic. You need to make a creature that's like lived in a cave for millions of years, and what does it look like? And you know, whatever, like a functional creature or like a background creature, or maybe the creature is your character and you gotta create something wholly new from scratch. Or maybe not. Maybe you just want to blend a couple animals together. But in nature, like, that's kind of what we're gonna do anyway, designing any creature. Pulling from real stuff. So let's say I'm gonna design an animal from the desert, and I'm gonna design it as a D&D creature for my party to fight, and I want it to be magic. I want it to be like illusion magic casting creature of like a trickster type nature. So now I'm gonna go to Google and I'm gonna be like, desert animals. Like a fennec fox might be cool. Jackals have a lot of like kind of magical like shit around them. Like a horny toad. Camel? Like, let's just gather all these pictures and like put it all together and see what comes out of it. There's a really helpful tool for while you're drawing, your reference photos can just be right there next to you. You don't need to have them on the canvas. It's called PureRef. It's free, open source. You can donate if you want. This is not a ad, but it's just really useful. So I recommend getting PureRef and using it to store all your pics. So the first time I draw something, or when I'm trying to find like a stylistic language for it, I just do it for fun first. Like, it's really loose. I'm not like too much of a stickler with sticking accurately to the anatomy of the animals I've picked. I'm more just like, look at the animals I've picked and I note their characteristic features, their notable ones, and then I find a place to try and fit it into whatever it is that I'm creating. Once I like how the creature's looking aesthetically and like shape language wise, then I'll start really getting into the nitty-gritty of the anatomy and the bones and the muscle of stuff. Keeping in mind that when I am doing this initial sketch, I am thinking about like evolutionary stuff. Like, I'm thinking about, okay, this is a desert creature. A lot of creatures in the desert, they got big eyelashes because they want to keep the sand out of their eyes. They got big ears, they got to disperse heat. And it's like interesting too when you're mixing predator and prey animals, and you got to think like, what's more prevalent and what does it mean for the creature you're designing? Like, if you're giving something really, really sharp teeth and claws, you're thinking maybe, what is it eating? And if you're giving it like a certain shape of foot, does it say like it climbs on rocks, or is it walking on sand? And in this case, I was looking at the horny toad's feet. I feel like this guy probably eats whatever it can, and that's going to dictate a lot about its body. But for its feet, I was like, I think it should have some wide ass paddle feet for walking on sand. And I was also looking a lot at the camel and thinking, okay, it's like skinny little back legs. It's not necessarily a fast runner. Maybe it doesn't hunt its prey. Maybe it's like, since I wanted it also to be like a trickster character, I was also kind of thinking about like sphinxes and like mixing animals together that maybe it would talk its prey into dying, or maybe it would create a spell that, like a spider uses poison, like subdue its prey into a state of paralysis, or inability to fight back. So it doesn't need to be a super buff, super strong creature. It can be lanky, it can be thin, because its strengths lie in other places. I think it's a fine line between too much and just the right amount of stuff on a creature to like explain what it does and how it does it. This is me trying to figure out, okay, like it's a magic user, I kind of want it to look like it can use magic, and I added actually a couple images. I added some bat noses. I got really into like these really long extravagant bat noses, so I was looking at that and I was like, how does it cast its magic? Maybe it's like illusion magic that uses echolocation to distort brainwaves or something. So I started just looking at bats and trying to include thinking also about the textures on its face, on its skin. Does it have fur? Does it have skin or scales? And I feel like to go back to the Sphinx idea, it would be really cool to have like a fleshy, like hairless kind of skin on the face that like sprouts horny toad horns, and then some of its body has really coarse fur and patches of no fur. Once I'm feeling good about the vibe drawing, I'll go in with the anatomy stuff. Here I got a skull of a bat, since that's where I feel like I was putting most of my eggs in the basket in terms of the vibe of it. I put a little bit more muscle into the back of the head there for like jaw strength, thinking about this creature chomping on some bones, probably like the hyena, giving it some more hyena qualities. And I'm also thinking a bit more now that I'm doing this final drawing with the texture of the skin and the horns and where the fur is gonna start. I also gave it some human-like eyes. I want this creature to look intelligent. I want it to look smart. But yeah, this is kind of the moment in this drawing where I'm trying to explain a bit more in detail the thoughts and the feeling of the animal that I'm making. I'm including a bit more fur information, skin information, bones. This is also the phase where like I'll draw like bones often in red line inside the animal, and I'll try out a couple different joint placements here. Actually, during this drawing, I started off with a more canine-like bone structure for the front legs. It really changes the vibe, you'll see. I started off with a bit more canine stuff. I was really having trouble with the feet. Oh my god, drawing feet is like always hard. It like explains so much, like weight, like explaining weight or whatever. Anyway, so I started drawing more of the canine-like legs, and when I realized like this doesn't look super right, I've got like camel legs back there, I'm gonna try a different alignment of joints. I decided to move the knee or the ankle further up to the middle of the leg. You'll see when I move the bone. And it really changed it up. Instead of it looking more predatory, it started looking a little more like dopey-like, like kind of like horse-like. And I liked that. So I kept that. But yeah, that's just like a good example of on the go designing, being like, oh, actually it needs to be like this, and it's okay to like change your mind in the middle of doing something and have to redo a couple things, or you know, you find it out as you're drawing, you're like making up a whole creature from scratch, so it's all good. Once you feel good about where you're at with the drawing and the bare bones and where everything's going and how it's looking, color and a little bit of texture super help. Sometimes things can't only be explained in line, you have to explain it in depth. So when we do these color things, I'm also going to be looking at the animals that I've chosen to reference. When I do color, I start with whatever's on the bottom. In this case, it's the skin, and then the fur that I referenced from the fox. I took the pink tones from the bat, and the more I took from the bat, the more I was like, this creature is becoming like a cave-dwelling being, not necessarily something that's out wandering in the sunshine. So the more I design it, the more I'm thinking, where are they going to encounter this guy? Probably in a cave. and probably in a pretty big cave. When I designed the creature, I was thinking about how big is this guy, and honestly, I think it's like horse size. I feel like you would probably be able to ride this if you had a really good acrobatics check. You wouldn't want to, though. Looking at it now, I'm also like, wow, I just designed a f***ing dragon. Yet again! At it again! Never stop! But, I also made it blind with the color. Like, these decisions come... So many decisions come in color, like giving it pattern on its skin. Like, it's got, like, these hyena markings, but on its flesh, it's got, like, this glowing nose thing that, like, becomes more vivid when it's using spells. Like, and yeah, the more I designed this, the more I was like, this guy's like a cave dweller for sure. This guy's an awkward creature who probably didn't start off in this landscape, but was brought here hundreds of years later, starting to fit in, but still awkward. But yeah, what do you think of this creature? I feel like I'm still gonna decide as I play it. But yeah, here we go. Here's the final result. So what do you guys think? Do you think I succeeded in creating a fantasy creature that can use mind telepathy magic and lives in the desert and is a little unpredictable? But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps in your endeavors to create whatever a creature for whatever a purpose. Yeah.